Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to create a whole different file, and we're going to a CSS file. We're going to build a 3-column variable width layout. We're going to do it a little differently. You can go online and you can look at many different YouTube videos, and there's so many different ways that you can create your layout with cascading style sheets. Now this is similar but a little different from what we did before. So this is what you're going to end up creating, is this file right here. Very simple layout. We've got the header. This one has a left sidebar, content in the center, and then a right sidebar, and then the footer. So instead of having the navigational bar at the top, this has the navigational bar on the left side. So let's just get started here. So the first thing you do, obviously, is you're going to create a new file. So you're going to go File, New. And again, you're going to make sure that it is HTML5, and you're going to hit Create. Okay, so I like this view so that I can actually see my code very easily as I'm working on my file. So I am going to do this a little differently than we did it the previous file. Actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create all my ID tags first. I'm going to create ID tags this time. So remember, I'm going to make a 3-column variable width layout. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go open up my CSS styles panel right here. If you're using Adobe Cloud, it's going to be a little different. Alright, so I'm going to select New CSS Rule. And I'm going to make sure that this time I'm going to create an ID tag. So I'm going to create all my ID tags first, and then I'm going to go through and assign them. So you're going to see this a lot if you look at some videos online and YouTube. A lot of designers like to call this your auto wrapper. So let's just do this one, auto wrapper. And I'm going to just set it for this document only. Okay, so we're going to create auto wrapper, and I'm going to hit OK, and it's going to open up to a dialog box, and I'm just going to select and put just the color white in it. You're not going to really see anything, but I just like to put a color in. So go down to the box category, and we're going to put this at 80% for the width. Now it automatically goes to pixels, so make sure you select 80%. If you're going to do a variable width layout, you're going to use 80%. Now remember, a variable width layout can be used for a desktop, a laptop, an iPad, etc., but it is not perfect. If you want your site to look perfect on on a desktop, on a laptop, on an iPad, and on an iPhone, you're actually going to have to create a different site for each one. But it can, offer you a lot of, it can be useful, but I prefer, if I'm going to create a site, I prefer to create a site separately for my iPhone with the apps. It just does not look the same when you try to look at a large website. You know that yourself as you go through sites. Okay, so let's continue on here. So I'm going to set this, keep going on with this file, and at the box category I'm going to uncheck this over here where it says margin, because I want this to go into the center. I'm going to put 0 here, and for right, we did this before, I'm going to put auto and put 0 in here again, and for left I'm going to put auto. So then I'm going to have to actually add a I'm going to hit OK first. And then if I go over into the CSS style panel, I'm going to actually have to add a property. And I'm going to call this one min width. I'll explain in a minute what I'm doing. Okay, and for min width, I'm going to put 800 pixels. And it's going to automatically go to pixels. Okay, the reason why I'm doing this is because if this site is viewed on an iPad or on a desktop or whatever, I don't want it to go any smaller than 800 pixels. And that's really important, because you don't want to shrink it down so small that you can't see it. Now, if you're viewing the site on an iPhone, and you don't want it to go much smaller than that, then your user's not going to be able to view it. So that's my first rule. And if I select, styles, I can see my outer wrapper is showing up right here. Okay. So the next one I'm going to create is going to be a style for the contact wrapper. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to select New CSS Rule. I'm going to make sure that it's an ID. Remember, an ID can only be used once on your site. And I'm going to call this one Contact Wrapper. Like I said, there's so many different ways of doing this. It's you can go to many different YouTubes and sites, and you will have many different ways to do this. There is no exact way. Then I'm going to hit OK. So again, I'm going to go to the box category right here, and I'm going to select this one at 100. Go down and make sure that you put percent in. Then I'm going to go down to where it says positioning, and you see that 100 just kind of automatically shows up for the width. And I'm going to put in overflow, and I'm going to put auto. But this is very important for positioning. This will clear the floats that we have in our previous columns. So you want to make sure that you put this in. And then I'm going to hit OK. And now if I look over in my styles panel, I'm going to see both my styles there. So the next style that I'm going to make is going to be the style for my header. So I'm going to go back down into my styles panel where it says New CSS Rule. I'm going to select again ID, which applies for only one element. And I'm going to label this one header. This document only. I'm going to hit OK. I'm going to go down and I'm going to select where it says box category. And I'm going to put 100 in here. You want to make sure that it's the same size as your site. Make sure this says percent. Okay, and that's it for the header. So now I'm going to hit OK. Now we haven't assigned these to anything. We're going to do that in a minute. So the next one is we're going to create our first column. We're going to create the sidebar left. So I'm going to go down here and select the New CSS Rule again. Make sure it's an ID tag. And I'm going to call this one sidebar left. Remember, no spaces in HTML. Alright? So then I'm going to hit OK. So this box, now it just depends on the size that you want to make your site. You remember, everything has to add up to 100%. So I'm going to put in 30% here. And I'm going to make sure where it says float that I have this floating to the left. And I think that's about all I'm going to put in right now. Okay, so then I'm going to hit OK. I'm going to make another CSS rule, another ID tag. And this one I'm going to call sidebar right. The only reason why I'm putting capital letters in here just makes it easier to see. And then I'm going to put OK. I'm going to make this one a little bit smaller. I'm going to go down to my box. And I'm going to put the width for this one at 20%. You can do whatever you want. You know, you can experiment with this. It may not be exactly the way you want it when you first start working with it. Make sure you assign float right, because this is your right bar, your right sidebar. It's very important that you don't forget to put this in. Okay? And then once you're all set with that, you just hit OK. So you notice that I got all my my styles over here. I'm starting to build my page. So the next one is going to be the content one, and that's going to be the one that's going to be in the center. So you just have to select again, new style rule. Again, you want to make sure that it's an ID tag. This one I'm going to call simply content. Make sure it's this document only, and then I hit OK. Now for this one, I'm going to go down a box and I'm going to put in 50. Remember, everything has to add up to 100. 50%. And I'm going to assign this one to the left. Even though it's in the center, you have to remember it's going to float to the left of the previous one, which is your right one. And that will put it into the center. I know sometimes this can be confusing when you're trying to figure this out, but this is the correct way to do it. And then you hit OK. Now I just have one more left, and that's going to be my footer. I'm just going to go back down here, new CSS rule. Again, the ID tag. I'm going to just simply call this footer. I'm going to hit make sure it says this document only. Hit OK. And I'm going to go down to my box. Now I want this to be 100% because I want it to fill the whole site down the bottom. And that's all I'm going to put in right now. And I'm just going to hit OK. Now every way you do it is really, just variable. It just really depends upon, what you want to do for your site. I really like to see you guys just keep this as simple as possible. Unless you really know how to do cascading style sheet, don't make it too complicated. Right now I'm going to save this because if I continue working on this and something happens to my computer, I'm going to lose all my work. And I've already done a lot of work. So I'm just going to file, save as. Yeah, I'm just going to call this practice. Remember again, if this is your index page, your first page, your home page, you got to call it index. And I'm going to hit save. Okay, so now I have my files saved. So now I'm going to start putting in my divs. Now you can do it the way that I showed you before, or you can open up your insert panel, and where it says layout, if you open that up, the insert panel, you see you have all these different things that you can open up to. I'm just going to select layout. And right here where it says insert div tag, that's what I'm going to select for this file. And make sure that you are inside your body tag, okay? And you have to remember those HTML tags, that's very important. You want to be in between your body tag. You can select it there, or you can select it here. So I'm going to insert my very first div. Select that. Okay. Now we have to be very careful, and we have to do this very slowly so that you don't mess up. Because if you mess up, you're going to have to start all over again. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to insert the div, just like I did now. Or you can go to insert layout objects div tag, like we did in the previous one. So the very first one I'm going to put in is going to be my outer wrapper. Okay, so I'm going to select at insertion point because I already selected on my design view where I want to put this. And now if I go down to where it says ID, because that's what I made was IDs, I'm going to go down and I'm going to find my outer wrapper. Now I've already did all my styles. Okay, so that's all I have to do. And then I hit OK. And then it's going to pop up. And you see now it's taking on the style that I put on this. As you can see, if you highlight it, you will see the CSS style that I put on my outer wrapper. So now I'm going to place in another div. I do the same thing again. I'm going to select down here. I'm going to deselect for a minute. Insert div tag. Okay, so now this one is going to be a little bit different. I'm going to select after start of tag, not at insertion point. So you're going to select after start of tag, and it's going to be the tag that we just created, the outer wrapper. And you're going to select that. And this one is going to be your header. So you're going to go down and you're going to find your header. As you use each one of these, they're going to disappear, because remember, you can only use these once on your file. So each time that you use one of these, it's going to come out of this selection here. So I'm going to select header. Make sure that I did this right, and then before I close out, and then I'm going to hit OK. Okay, so now you see that your header is in there, and it's where it's supposed to be. It's inside your outer wrapper. So the next thing we're going to put in is the content wrapper. So we're going to do the same thing again. I'm going to insert a div tag, and this is going to be an after tag. Let's just go right down there where it says after tag right here, and then over here you're going to select header. You want it to go after the header. You want your content wrapper to go after your header. Okay, then you're going to go down here and you're going to find content wrapper. You see how each one of these are disappearing as you're working on it, and you're going to select that. You just check and make sure you did everything right before you close out. Before you hit OK, make sure it says content wrapper, after header, after tag, and then hit OK. So now you notice that your content is going below your header. So now I'm going to start putting in my my sidebars. Okay, so obviously you want your sidebars, your 3 columns, to go inside your content wrapper. So let's do that again. We're going to insert a div tag again. Select over here. Now I want to kind of help you, but it's not really helping me very much because it's opening up incorrectly. So I'm going to select right here, it says after startup tag, and the after starter tag is going to be the content wrapper right here. Okay, so you want to make sure this is where it's going to go. You want it to go into your content wrapper. If you follow along, and the paper that I printed, it's very easy to keep track of what you're supposed to do. And then you just select that, and this is going to be your left sidebar. So you're going to select right down here where it says sidebar left, and then you're going to make sure that you did this right. Okay, you just go back and look at it, make sure that you did this right. After startup tag, the content wrapper, and it's sidebar left, and then hit OK. Okay, now something happened here, so I'm going to just go take a look and see what happened. I'm just going to go back and see. Okay, so what happened was I selected pixels for the width, so I should go back and change that. Okay, so somehow that happens. Or, sometimes you just have to troubleshoot when you're working on these files. So I'm just going to go back where it says sidebar left. I'm going to open it up. Actually, I don't even have to open it up. I can just select it right here. And I'm going to make sure that this is %. And you see how it changes automatically. So sometimes things happen and you have to just be patient and not get all upset over it, and just go back and try to figure out what you did wrong. Okay, so now I'm going to put another div tag in. Insert div tag. So now I want this to be after tag. I want it to go after the tag that I just placed in. So I'm going to go down to where it says after tag, and the tag that I want it to be after is sidebar left, and a tag that I'm going to place in is going to be sidebar right. Now you see how each one of these is eventually leaving in this ID tag, because you can only use them once in your file. Make sure you did this right. After tag, sidebar, open it up if you want to make sure, sidebar left, sidebar right, hit OK. Okay, so now you see that it's gone in where it's supposed to go. So I'm going to place the middle one in. You have to do this right, because if you don't do this right, then it's going to fall out of your file. I'm going to do the same thing again. I'm going to insert div tag. And this one's going to be an after tag. Go down, select after tag. and it's going to be after the sidebar right. It's going to work. Then you're going to choose content. Make sure you did it right again. Select what you read. Look at what you did after tag, sidebar right, okay, and it's your content. Then hit OK, and you see how it goes right into the center. So now we just want to check and make sure everything's in there. You just have to check on the outside, and you can see how everything has fallen inside your outer wrapper. So here is your the div up here for outer wrapper is your opening tag, and down here is actually your closing tag. So everything in here is inside your body tag. Okay, so you have everything in here. You just want to double check it. We're going to put in our last div. So our last div is going to be our footer. So we're going to insert a div tag, a new div tag. So this one, you want to make sure that you put this one in correctly. Okay, so we're going to put this one in after tag. And we're going to put in after our contact wrapper. Okay, so you want it to go after the wrapper, but you want it to stay inside your outer wrapper. So you're going to choose contact wrapper. And then the last one we have is footer. So that's the very last one that we're going to be putting in. And we're going to hit OK. So now you see your footer goes in where it's supposed to go after your content wrapper, and you have your sidebars. Everything looks okay. So what I like to do maybe is just put a little color in just so I can see what I have. I can go through each one and do that. Let's just do the header. And I'm just going to put a little background color in. Maybe a little blue color. And then hit OK. I just want to make sure, you know, by doing this I can actually see what I'm doing. And I'm going to do the same thing for my left column. Let me put a little red. I hit OK. For my right side, I'm going to choose that red. You can go right out and choose the color and then hit OK. Now you see how this is coming out just the way, you know, it should. For my content, I'm going to again choose a color and maybe choose a yellow. Hit OK. So far so good. And the last one that I'm going to do is going to be the footer. And maybe I'll just put black in for the footer. Okay. So now I can go ahead and get rid of the text here, because these are really just space holders. So I can kind of get rid of the text here. We don't need this text anymore. It's still going to be there. We just won't have the text. It doesn't look like very much until you put some content in it. But just to give you an idea, if you start putting in it's just giving you an idea how this is going to look when you start working on it on your file. And that's really about it as far as doing your file as a 3-column variable with layout. So you can just go ahead and put all your content in, and like I said, there's just so many different ways that you can do this. You can go online and YouTube and find many different other ways to do this, but I'm just going to show you 2 simple ways to do this, and depends on how comfortable you feel as far as doing cascading style sheets. So I'm going to stop here.